Let's get real. The media says Trump's economic approval is collapsing. They're waving around polls like a magic spell. Look, he's done. But you know what they don't tell you? Where the numbers come from. Who's asking the questions? And what Americans are actually feeling when they walk into a grocery store. The cracks they're shouting about? They might just be in their narrative. The headlines were everywhere. Poll shows voters trust Biden more on the economy. Trump's lead evaporating. Red flags for Republicans. Sounds scary if you read just the headlines. The reality. Less terrifying. More manipulated. Take a look at one of the polls. Sample size? Less than 1,000 people. Margin of error? Large enough to flip the story. And the kicker? Over 60% of respondents identified as Democrats or Democrat-leaning independents. That's not a snapshot of America. That's a snapshot of MSNBC's group chat. And yet, networks went all in. MSNBC devoted segments. CNN broke it down like it was a moon landing. The phrase, cracks are showing, became the new chant. But here's the question no one asks. Are they cracks in Trump's base, or cracks in their media bubble?
That we are effectively, as said, we're in a transition period. John Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, keeps saying, you know my view on tariffs, which is he's not a fan of this, but Trump is trying to, reorganize the global order, and we should be patient is effectively his message. But I will tell you, the market goes down, continues to go down like it's going down now, and I'm not talking about it might be up at this moment, but if it continues a downward trajectory, members of Congress are going to be nervous because people, as I think you noted, Katie, people are not going to be happy if their 401ks or portfolios are going down and they're looking to retire. I think that was in the clip that you showed at the top.
The moment that clip aired, every pundit on Twitter acted like they found buried treasure. See, Americans hate Trump's economy. But in the same week, gas prices dipped. Job creation beat expectations. And grocery prices? Still a disaster under Biden. The setup? They needed a bad narrative, and cooked one up, polls first. So let's talk actual economic reality. Under Trump, 1.4% inflation, record low unemployment, energy independence, and pre-COVID GDP growth that made Wall Street smile. Under Biden, 6% inflation, high interest rates, mortgage chaos, and Americans eating instant noodles for dinner. Yet somehow, a single poll says Americans trust Biden more. Really? Ask a small business owner. Ask a mom buying eggs. The numbers on paper don't match the numbers in people's wallets.
Do you know anyone personally who voted for President Trump but depends on benefits like Medicaid?
Oh yeah. I know a lot of people.
Trump promised a lot of things. I thought it would be more family values and those programs that they really need here.
One of those promises was to protect Medicaid, which 67% of people in this district rely on. It's the largest percentage of any district in the entire country.
Can you guarantee that Medicare, Medicaid will not be touched?
Yeah, I mean, I have said it so many times, we're not going to touch it.
What we're seeing isn't a shift in voter confidence. It's a shift in media tactics. Paint Trump as weak on the economy, hope it sticks, and ignore everything people are feeling daily. Because here's what's actually happening post-clip. More voters are speaking up. Not in fancy polls, but in Facebook posts, TikTok comments, and local conversations at gas stations. They're saying, I'm not a Trump fan, but I miss when things were affordable. That's not support you measure in a headline. That's support you feel at the checkout line. And guess what? Every time mainstream outlets shout, Trump is slipping, more people dig into their wallets, look at the prices, and remember who made their paycheck stretch. The media's echo chamber is loud, but grocery aisles are louder. The punchline? You can spin poll questions, but you can't spin a $6 gallon of milk. Funny how when Biden gets bad numbers, media says, well, Americans just don't understand how good the economy is. But when Trump's numbers dip, real or imagined, it's proof he's finished. Double standard? That's being generous. It's more like a split reality. One where Biden's every stumble is context, and Trump's every move is the end of democracy. CNN spent an entire week breaking down this poll. But how many segments did they do on shrinkflation? On rising credit card debt? On falling consumer confidence under Biden? Crickets. And the most ironic part? Even some liberal economists have started to admit Trump's policies had long-term benefits. But you won't hear that between Rachel Maddow monologues. The kicker? It's not that Trump's losing economic support. It's that Biden's losing the ability to cover it up. Let's pause for a second. Because while media outlets are busy obsessing over crosstabs and sample sizes, voters are doing something totally different, living their lives. And their lives, full of financial strain, sticker shock, and real-world stress that can't be filtered through a pollster's spreadsheet. Go into any gas station, diner, or TikTok comment section, and you won't hear people quoting CNN polls. You'll hear them talking about the rent, about credit card bills, about how they used to be able to fill their cart and not have a panic attack at checkout. And it's not just Republicans saying it. Independents, disaffected Democrats, Gen Z voters who were still in high school during Trump's presidency but now say, hey, it was better back then, wasn't it? The shift isn't ideological. It's emotional. People feel worse off, and they're slowly connecting the dots. Online sentiment tells a very different story. On TikTok, YouTube, X, Twitter, average Americans are not debating who ran the better economy. They're remembering gas under $2, paychecks that stretched, rent that didn't eat 70% of income.
Okay, so where are we with Americans and how they're viewing the economy?
Yeah, so a CBS News YouGov poll came out earlier today, and I will just say, I'll put it in stark terms, I believe this is the worst poll that Donald Trump has received in his second term, and we can go through it, Jessica. Let's talk about the economy, right? Think the economy is getting worse. Back in November, it was 42% of Americans. You don't have to be a genius to follow this timeline. By February, it was 49%, March, 51%. Look at where we are now, 53%. The clear majority of Americans think the economy is getting worse, and that number is rising when...
These aren't hardcore MAGA loyalists either. Many of them are independents, young voters, even some Democrats. Why? Because inflation isn't partisan. Empty fridges don't care how you voted. The more media pushes Trump is losing the economy, the more voters remember their grocery bill from 2019 and go, wait a minute. The irony? Their attack ads are working, in reverse. Here's the part the media doesn't want to cover. Internal Democrat polling shows that Trump's favorability on the economy remains strong, especially in key swing states. Pennsylvania, Arizona, Wisconsin. Biden's messaging on economic recovery is falling flat. Voters there aren't watching cable news. They're watching prices. And every time a new poll tries to paint Trump as slipping, it actually reactivates his base. People hate being told what to think, especially when it doesn't match their reality. So what do we have? A media desperate to dent Trump's strongest issue, his economic legacy, and accidentally reminding people just how much better things were. The twist. They wanted to break his momentum. Instead, they just handed him another rallying cry. So the next time someone shouts, the polls say Trump's done, just ask, whose poll? And more importantly, have they bought groceries this week? Media can spin, pundits can panic, and networks can twist numbers. But Americans know what their wallets say. And more of them are remembering the Trump years not as chaos, but as control. Speech balloon, drop a comment if you're feeling the same way. Thumbs up, hit like if you've seen through the noise. Loudspeaker, and don't forget to subscribe, because this election won't be decided by headlines, but by reality. See you in the next one.